Hi everyone, it's Heather from Courageous Hearts. I was so happy to see how well received my video from last week was about the 3 myths to building resiliency. And I received some feedback like, well, how do you build resiliency if we can indeed do it? It's not like just something that somebody either has or doesn't have. So I thought I'd follow up with a 3-part series. So this is going to be the first part of a 3-part series on 3 ways to build resiliency. And these are going to be about internal resiliency. They're not about external resiliency, which is about creating an environment or a support system that supports you in your own resiliency. These are about, I'll call them internal resiliency, and you'll see why. So the 3 practices, and I'll go into greater detail of the first one only today, is developing a mindfulness practice. The second one is about your relationship with yourself, your self-talk. I'll just call it self-talk. And then the third one is about consistent self-check-ins. So let's talk about that first one. Mindfulness is a huge thing right now, and a lot of people really get it. And a lot of people are like, what is the big deal with mindfulness? I do not have time to sit for an hour every day in lotus position with my eyes closed doing nothing. It's just not practical for me. And I totally get it. Honestly, it's not practical for me right now in my life. But what is practical is something called an informal mindfulness practice. So we'll refer to the sitting with your eyes closed and focusing on your breath or whatever you choose to focus on as a more formal practice. And there's plenty of options to develop a mindfulness practice and develop your own self-awareness in an informal practice. So let's talk about some examples. What would that look like? Well, for an informal practice, it's really it's handy to associate an informal practice with something that you're already doing. So you don't have to remind yourself. It's not something separate you do. It's something you're already doing that you can add mindfulness to. And Brené Brown talks about mindfulness as just paying attention in the moment. It's just paying attention, being present. And so let's get a little more into examples. So for me, I do mindfulness while I'm washing the dishes. And I just slow down. I let go of any thoughts that are running around in my head, and I just get really present in the moment with the sensation of the water on my hands and the soap, and I'm doing nothing else, but I'm just with the dishes, washing the dishes, and it helps me to just kind of slow things down in there. And I also get a gauge about with my mind and how much of this is going on. And typically by the end of the dishes, this has slowed down and I'm more present in the moment. Other examples, we've done this and we've talked about it in the building resiliency trainings that we've done. And people have come up with so many examples to add to their lives of ways that they can develop their self-awareness in association with routines that they're already doing. So for example, household chores. I mentioned washing dishes, vacuuming, cleaning, sweeping, wiping down countertops, all things, folding laundry, all things that you can do and bring a mindfulness to and being present in the moment and still getting things done. Self-care routine, washing your face, brushing teeth is a great one. And those can be incorporated in, you're not really changing your routine, you're just bringing your own presence, awareness, and being in the moment to those routines you're already doing. So they're a little more practical. The other thing I wanted to just mention is a lot of people are like, what is the big deal with mindfulness? Why is it so important? Well, we consider it one of the core, what do I want to say? A core practice to develop resiliency. Because think of it this way, by becoming more mindful and self-aware, you can notice what thoughts might be running around in your head that might be causing negative emotions, that might be driving negative behaviors. So once you're aware of the thoughts, you can change them. And once you're aware of emotions that are going on, you can address them when they're at a manageable level. So cultivating a practice to become more self-aware is necessarily part of becoming more resilient in terms of internal resilience. And we consider self-awareness to be foundational in terms of the other internal skills for building resiliency. And I'll talk about that more in part 2. So this is part 1 of a 3-part vlog. And developing some kind of mindfulness practice is the first one in developing greater resiliency. And if you have any questions, you can reach out at info@Courageous Hearts, like my beating heart, but plural, .org. You can also go, if you want some additional resources or see about the trainings that we're doing, you can look at courageoushearts.org. And I hope this was useful. Take care, everyone. Be well.